I want to respect your time today, Rob. So I want to just jump into a speed round on songwriting. I know that's hard to do a speed round on it, but I'm going to ask you a couple questions that you might be able to give me an answer that you know, is a speed round answer kind of thing.
Sure.
To respect your time today. If you think back through all the songs you've written, is there any one song that you're most proud of?
No, I can't say that because every song, practically every song I do, I think is the greatest song I've ever written. When you're in that point, you just, well, this is great. I will say that I'm glad that uh, the song that had a lot of legs, "Fear Is Never Boring." Um, I'm glad that wasn't like a silly ditty or something like that. "Fear Is Never Boring" has legs and teeth. It's a little shocking, um, and it still gets me in a little bit of trouble. So some people think, oh, that song is immoral or whatever. And I can just say I'm grateful that is a song that some people might identify me with. Um, that's all I can say, but it's not my favorite song.
Right. You're
I
glad it
know,
happened.
yeah, yeah.
Have there been songs in your career? I mean, you kind of touched on this for a brief moment, not so much as the downside of it, but you just said there sometimes in the live streams people request songs that you haven't played for years. Are there any songs in your career that you don't enjoy as much as others, but people just it's a cult favorite, it's a fanatic favorite, and they want you to play it all the time? Like, okay, I'll play it again. Is there a song like that that it just for whatever reason it's out there? Because there are some artists that refuse. Some people had that one big song or two big songs, and they hate to play them, and they won't play them sometimes because they just feel like I don't want to be identified by one song. I want people to know what I'm doing today, and I understand that. Are there any songs like that that you just don't really care if you ever played them again of yours?
Well, not to beat a dead horse, but I got to say that happened with "Fear Is Never Boring." People would say "Fear" because that was the song that was like a
Right,
number one,
right,
in my world, and I would reply, "Well, yeah, "Fear Is Never Boring" unless you played it 1,000 times.
right.
I had
Yeah,
more than 1,000 times. Um, the Raisins had a hit with it, and then well, the Bears are going to do it too, and so there's two versions, and then I get people going, I like the Bears version better, or I like the Raisins version better, and so I got to a point with that where it was like, oh God. But I started playing it acoustic. I did an acoustic version of just a different read of the song that now some people say that's the best version of Fear. But I got over it. And what I think I have to do, I did with Fear is just realize some people just love this song. And I think that's where my inner professional comes through. I'm glad they're asking for it. And I will play it. I won't play it every show, but I play it, with some frequency because people expect it.
yeah,
And, people have given me a career. I I owe it to them.
yeah.
Thank you. I owe it to them, and thank you very much for wanting it. I
Right.
think that's the way I feel about it. But I think all material can get tired and old, and um, God, I saw that recent documentary of the Stones playing in South America, and they're playing Satisfaction, and it's a killer version of Satisfaction. I mean, it's really good,
Yeah,
and it's shocked to me that they managed to do it so well
yeah.
because they've done that song a few times.
I would imagine. Yeah,
Yeah, um, but it's man, it really had legs. I think it's. I think you just have to do it. I think the danger for me, and I know we're going to go over if it's okay, but the danger for me is that I don't want to do a performance that's flat because I've done it so much, that turns into oatmeal. Just So I've got to watch it there. Some songs, I mean, I've written some bad songs. I've written some crap. I see it now. But at the time I was probably welling up in tears while I was writing it. You just don't know. You don't know how good a song is. It's kind of like an acoustic guitar. I always think it's better to buy especially a wood instrument, it's better to buy one that's at least 10 years old, better yet, 20 years old. It takes a while for the fibers and stuff to go out. And when I've worked with other younger musicians as a recordist, recording them, producing them, that stuff, mentoring them, I've said, I don't want to do anything with you guys that's gonna make you cringe in 10 years.
Yeah.
I really care about this summer.
Yeah.
It's gonna sound cool, but let's make sure we don't do something, we don't use the latest little trick, the little plug-in or whatever that everybody's using on all their songs, just because it's cool. Sometimes it is cool, sometimes it isn't.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the stuff I've recorded, I feel that way. I feel like it's still really good, but every now and then I go, oh God, what were we thinking? The drum sound, the 80s gated snare drum sounds and stuff like that, which, they might come into play again as being cool. I mean, people selling plugins to get that 80s gated drum sound.
Right.
But, it's crap.
I think everybody at some point can go back in their career and look at some of the early things. When bands put out demos of things that they, their greatest hits with 10 extra demos or this or that, or you hear their interviews, they've always got something where their lyrics were different than they expected them to be, and they remember an early version of it and said, I don't know how that turned into a hit or whatever it is, all the way up to the Beatles, Paul McCartney talking about when he wrote Yesterday, things like that, breakfast food, for Paul, and scrambled eggs. And I mean, just things like that, that early songs, early makings of songs, and songs that, just, they sounded really good at the time. But what's rewarding is that no matter good or bad in your mind, everyone has a different opinion. And what you might say, someone else goes, wow, that is amazing. You never know.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, there are people that just love that 80s gated drum sound, so I say it's crap, but I would imagine as soon as I said that, somebody, watching this is going to go, well, you're an asshole. But because the truth is, it's not always crap, and as soon as I said that, I was starting to think about, but there's Def Leppard. They made some really good records. Mutt Lange knew how to make a record, for God's sakes. That stuff holds up pretty well. So what the hell do I know?
I just think it's really good to be able to go with the trends of, not the trends that, like you said, a plug-in that doesn't work, but as we get more modern music technology, and you obviously, as hard as, like you say, it can be sometimes to work with all the different technology, you obviously embrace it because you can get some really cool sounds in current recordings, and so it's kind of like moving with the technology, not getting lost on an old keyboard, or it's mixing it up, a mix.
There's never been a better time. Never. I mean,
Yeah.
To make music, the technology is just fantastic. Digital plugins. I mean, cork sniffers can sniff corks all they want, but I remember, halfway through the transformation to digital, like 15 years ago, I remember going in the studio and hearing some drums and bass tracks that were recorded directly to tape, and they did sound better than anything digital. It was like,
Yeah.
What is going on here? There's just a satiny, whatever. I mean, tape.
Right.
But 2021, you can get, if you don't know how to make drums sound that good with Pro Tools and the plugins and the tape emulations and things like that, sorry, why don't you try harder? Because it is possible. It is really, it's possible. It's just a really good time. And the best thing about it is that it's egalitarian. You don't have to go into a $350 a day studio to do it.
Yeah.
Obviously you can make Grammy Award winning, really cool records in a bedroom with your big brother.
Like you said, it's the best time. It's the best time to be making music because we have it at our fingertips, and we have a way to get it out to the world with the internet. We have a way to get music out to everybody, anybody that,
And I don't have microphone emulators or anything like that because I've got some good microphones. But if I was starting out now, that there's no way I'd go anywhere but to that.
Right.
Because I can't tell the difference.
Right.
U47s, they all sound different anyways. Which U47 is the great focal mic. It's very hard to find those. If you've got one, fine, use it. But you don't necessarily need it. It's kind of like, when I was talking about guitars, it would be great to have a 1962 Telecaster or a 1958 Telecaster. I happen to have one that was modeled on that design, with computer graphics and 3D carving going on. And, I had a 60s Telecaster, and now I've got this one that was made about 8 years ago in Mexico that initially cost $400. And I'm just telling you, it's every bit as good as the one I had from the 60s. And the best thing about it is if somebody steals it, I could probably find another one. Without trading off a year of college for one of my kids.
Sure.
Yeah.
One last songwriting question, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. Remind people about the new album. I want them to get out there and listen to that. Yes, Ship Shake right there. There's a copy of it.
Yeah.
So, is there anybody that you've always wanted to collaborate with on writing a song that you think you may still reach out to? I mean, we're in a world right now where, first of all, you're in the business and you connect with a lot of people over the years. But even now, maybe there's someone out there that's one of your rock legend idols that you've always wanted to see. And now it's not like they're protected by the big label or the big publicist or the big, whatever, that sometimes through a posting on some social media, you might get them to see your inquiry and say, yeah, let's do something. I've seen so many things happen in the last couple of years with people. Anybody that you think you'd like to sit down and co-write a song with?
No. I would I would write a song with someone. I think it just depends on whom I'm in proximity with. But the idea of like going to Nashville and going in a little house with 5 other writers,
Songwriting circle or something.
Everybody being clever at the same time and doing something perfect. I write songs. I write song lyrics, like a writer, like somebody writing short stories or something like that. And I don't think I would co-write a book. I mean, hey, Ernest Hemingway, have you ever wanted to write a book with F. Scott Fitzgerald or hey, Donna Tartt, who wrote The Goldfinch? Love that book. You want to write a book with someone else? That kind of collaboration with lyrics, which I've done before, doesn't turn me on. That said, I've written with other people, and I think I've written some good stuff. I've worked with Adrian, and I like that. So if I'm in a band, anyways, with somebody, if I'm working with somebody like that, that will happen, and somebody will throw in a line here or there. But it's weird. Maybe that bus has left the station for me, and it's funny that you bring it up because maybe I'm completely wrong about that. It depends. Somebody reached out to me maybe, but the idea of like trying to write a hit song, something like that, it makes me want to gag.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just where I'm at in my
Sure.
life.
Sure. No,
I would rather do something really dangerous, like write about something that's really happened with me.
what about from the stage perspective? What about from the stage, like the actual recording, not necessarily then writing a song with someone else then, but like, you know, that like you love the way someone plays keyboards or guitars. It's someone that's, you know, anybody like
Oh,
that you've been looking to kind of say, we just got to sit down and do this.
I would work, man. I mean, gosh, that, well, now you're getting into fandom, you know, and stuff. Yeah, I would probably, I mean, if Todd Rundgren wanted me to do anything with him, I'd probably, you know, I'd cut his toenails for him. I'd do that. I would, the guys that play with David Bowie on Black Star. Yeah, I'd like to sit in that room. I'd like to be there, you know. I'll tune your guitars, whatever. Yeah, there's so many bands I'd like to play with. You know, when I was a kid, I wanted to be Mick Taylor. I thought that would be a good one, and then Ron Wood stole that gig from me. Wonderful. So there's, yeah, I love playing with other musicians. And that's the thing. That's where a song might happen. Then, musically, I'm really into the collaboration thing,
Right.
because everything I do turns out better if I bring another musician in the room. I can figure out where I think this is where the piano should go, and then give it to somebody. Some of the guys I work with, I work with some jazz players in Cincinnati, and they're so much better, you know, than anything I can do. So I'm not against that. I think the songwriting thing, I think lyrics, I really get weary of lyrics that are just too clever. You know, it's like, it's almost like watching shows made in Hollywood where the dialogue is just, it's brilliant. It's so brilliant. It's just boom, 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 but it's too brilliant.
It's too planned or too perfect or too.
Yeah, everything is just clicking, clicking, clicking.
Right.
And I don't like songs like that. I like to feel a little bit of push and pull and strain, you know. Can I get away with this? And I think all that stuff gets filed down when you work by committee.
Yeah. I just want to remind people to get out and listen to Ship Shake, and, you know, turn this ship around. Like we said earlier, you know, I think it's got the potential to just be such a big song for you. It's just the right time for it. And sometimes things just catch on fire like that. And this could be the time for that one for sure, you know. But people need to listen to it. I mean, on the live stream, you play a lot of your new songs. I've heard a lot of new songs on the live stream. They've got it. You're accessible. You're very accessible. They got to listen to that music. They got to spend some time with it and enjoy it. The songs on Ship Shake. And
Well,
then beyond, you know.
Ship Shake. We even have some CDs, if nothing else, for, you know, just kind of like artifacts of.
Hey, I'm a collector. I'm a collector. I'd be buying a CD. I don't buy digital streams. I mean, someone finally talked me into trying a trial on Apple iTunes just to have the luxury of hitting a button. But believe me, it kills me. I just love the vinyl, the CDs. I talk to younger people and I try to explain to them. I used to have debates in my music classes when I would teach music in the schools. I would have a debate, you know, the physical product or the digital, and I would play both sides and not tell them where I was coming from. And then I would tell them at the end what I thought. And I think it made an impression on some of these younger people. You're talking like 8th grade, 9th grade kids, kind of explain to them, you know, why it's so important to me to have that physical piece of music in my hand. It means something.
Yeah, I still like CDs. I mean, to me, CDs are they're just albums.
Yeah.
You know, they're albums that, now I'm really gonna go there, that sound better than vinyl, because vinyl sounds, you know, kind of scratchy and stuff. Yeah, just that I like having albums. I like looking at credits. if I go to a movie, I watch the credits roll. I just love seeing that stuff. The bigger the movie, Lord of the Rings, where it's all this animation and
Yeah.
CGI, I sit there and watch it. Every now and then I see a name I know, you
Yeah.
know, um, maybe it's somebody that's in a band, that does CGI too. So, or excuse me, CG, right? Computer graphics. And yeah, I like the format. I can live with it, but digital's great. I do listen to, I listen to Apple Music. I find some stuff.
I like the convenience and I like the ability to reach out and, find something. But at the end of the day, I just, I gravitate back to my collection and just love to have that. And I love reading, like you said, reading like, oh, this person played guitar in that. I didn't even hear that, or I didn't know, I wouldn't have known maybe, but to read that and say, oh, this person co-wrote this song. This person played guitar. This person was the drummer. This person produced the album. Sometimes you buy albums based on who produced them. You just, I don't know. It's always fascinated me. So,
and I go back to old albums, when I was a kid, I didn't really pay attention to the fact like, something, anything by Todd Rundgren, his first really successful album. God, the lineup on that record, there's some really, because everybody, talks about how he made it all himself, which he did, but he, the live ones, you've got like Amos Garrett, some people don't know about, but a wonderful guitar player. So the most famous guitar solo was on Midnight at the Oasis which was a hit in the 70s, but he's on that record. I think it's Piss Aaron, and Rick Derringer's on it.
oh yeah.
And I forget that stuff. I forget that these guys played on that. And, one of the most beautiful, sad, gorgeous songs, Dust in the Wind.
Kansas, yeah.
Not the one by Kansas. No, Dust in the Wind.
We're going back to Todd. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, by Moogie Klingman. Todd didn't write that song.
Right.
His friend and bandmate wrote it, and it's a beautiful, beautiful song.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like credits. I like finding out who did what. I like finding out that Herman Melville only sold 1,200 copies of Moby Dick. Imagine that.
Unthinkable.
He died thinking that Moby Dick was just a failure.
Unthinkable.
Yeah.
Rob, I have to thank you so much for your time. I mean, we've touched on a lot of different topics in the world of music during the course of our time together, and boy, do I appreciate it. And I can't wait for people to hear more about this, your career and all the great things that you have in store in the future too. I know you're going to do there's going to be some cool, hopefully 2021, we can little by little start, dipping our toe into the world again, and being able to do some more of that, getting back out there again.
Yeah. The times we're in, I was too young to be active in it. But people help. People my age would go, was it like this in the 60s? No, it wasn't quite like this in the 60s, but it was pretty messed up. And the good thing about the 60s was the music. That friction, that irritation, maybe a terrible, but maybe the right analogy is it's like sand in an oyster turns into a pearl. The irritation, that can come out of the arts.
Yeah.
In times like this.
Right.
A pandemic, the Enlightenment. If you read about the age of reason in Western culture and in Europe.
Right.
There were a lot of pandemics, and there was, the major religion split right down the middle. So people that go, I love Jesus, were killing each other, killing and raping and robbing each other. Yeah. So it was pretty nasty. during the Age of Reason, when the great philosophies were born and awarenesses and great art was created. So that's really my only hope for now, that out of this a time where people are so tormented, they do something good with it. And I want to do something good with it, because it feels really bad. It feels really bad to just throw up your hands and go, it's all going downhill. I got kids. I got kids. I'm going to have grandchildren. I want to have something good for them. And earlier I think we talked about my son. I know we're going over, and it's all my fault, but we talked about my Noah when he was 15, discovering the first Led Zeppelin album.
Yes, we did talk about that.
And me getting to be in a room with him and listen to this, Dad. Can you believe it? And realizing I was 15.
Yeah.
And when I heard it the first time, and was calling my friend Dave Gochi and saying, Coach, you got to get the new Led Zeppelin album. I hope a generation from now, people can look back at the art created now. The shows, the comedians, everybody, what Dave Chappelle is doing now. It's people saying out loud, I can't feel this. I'm not going to buy into this hate and division anymore because it makes me feel like crap.
Right.
And then he tells a joke, he just, but that's what people in I want to call it the creative services can do for the world right now. We can bring it together. And I'll tell you something, I mean, just for me, and I'm right on the fringe, I'm small time, but even me, I have seen people from both sides of the aisle really turn this ship around. They're agreeing on something.
Yeah, how about that? Which is pretty hard to do today. Yeah.
And I'm on one side of that aisle. I've got my own, I've got very strong feelings about what's going on. I've got a very strong perspective and everything, and yet I've been able to make something that both sides can go, yeah, we are gonna turn this ship around. And yeah, it's up to me. They're going, yeah, it's not them. I've got to do it. So they're seeing this thing, and that's like, I think, the beginning of peace. I always felt like being in a band was the opposite of, for young guys in the 20s, their 20s, being in a band is like the opposite of war. Even though you argue and shit.
Yeah.
But if you can, agree on a time signature and a key, and the words are here, and you sing that and I sing that, and we're getting along instead of fighting, because that's generally what I think humans are made to do in their early 20s.
Right.
Let's do the opposite of that. So it's really important. It's really important that everybody remembers that. This is a time to be creative in the midst of all the destruction.
Agreed.
And with that, I think I'll now drop dead and then immediately become famous for saying that. But I'll be dead, so it doesn't matter.
Well, I know I really agree with your insight on there. I mean, it's just to be able to, we all need to just be able to come together. And music is something that we talked about it earlier in our interview. It's a soundtrack of our life, and it's something that really can help us to kind of get through hard times in our personal lives, in our professional lives, in our political lives, in our world interaction. It just could really help us all to kind of, sometimes to agree to disagree, or just to say, okay, we're on opposite sides of the fence, but.
Do you like chocolate cake? I've got some chocolate cake. Let's eat that. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So Rob, this has been great. I so have enjoyed talking to you. and I'm looking forward to see what the next chapter is, for you, because you continue to recreate yourself in an ever-changing music industry. You continue to do different things and different sounds and different songs and different band members. I'm excited to see what's next, and so I'm so grateful to have the time with you.
Yeah, I'm scared to see what's next, but I'm going to do it anyways. Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I hope all the creative people that watch this, dozens or hundreds or whatever, go out and make some art as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rob.